that he was detained at the State Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, River State. Newsmen gathered that the police initially invited NDC spokesperson urging Delta people to exercise their civil rights through protest or other means to show their disapproval of the presidential directive. The police sent an invitation to the spokesperson of the Niger Delta Congress, Mudiaga Oboru, for criticizing the emergency rule and for asking Niger Delta people to speak up. Instead of waiting for him, the police went ahead to arrest the president. Confirming the development, NDC spokesperson Mudiaga Oboru told newsmen that he had received two different invitations, one from Lagos State Police Command and another from River State Police Command. The arrest of the NDC president sparked outrage among activists and civil rights groups who have described it as an attempt to protest against the emergency rule. I'm certain the security forces would have their own reasons, and that is what we will find out. Well, my guest is the president who was arrested and has regained freedom, Nubari Saatah, president of Niger Delta Congress. Good day, Mr. Saatah. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, my brother. Good evening, Rivers people. It's good to be here.
Yes, indeed. It's great to have you. Now, before we get into the what, the how, I want to ask, how are you feeling? How are you?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
I'm feeling good.
Okay, physically, psychologically, mentally?
I'm recovering.
Okay.
In that sense, I am recovering.
Okay, you are recovering. So describe the circumstances that led to your arrest on the 25th of March, 2025.
Well, they are very, very unfortunate circumstances because they actually expose a whole lot about the current system of governance that we have and the fact that the rights of individuals are not respected. I made able to see that I was actually kidnapped by the Nigerian government via the Nigerian police force.
Okay, so again, like you said earlier, I would not say you were kidnapped, but let's walk through the process and then we get to understand what it was.
Well, if you want to go based on semantics, what is the definition of kidnapping? I was lured out by the Nigerian police force. I had no idea that I'm going to be encountering men of the Nigerian police force. Not like I have had issues with the Nigerian police force before. Not like I've attended any invite that had been sent to me before. But I was lured out and I was kidnapped at the Warfare Road, at Kilimanjaro at the Warfare Road by men of the Nigerian police force. And I was thrown into their vehicle and taken to Octopus at my tree.
Okay.
And when I got there, I asked if I was under arrest, and I was informed that no, I was not under arrest. So
they said you were not under arrest?
Yeah, they said I was not under arrest. So I asked, well, for what reason? Why am I being held? And I was told that I'm being held on charges of treason. But you're telling me I'm not under arrest. I'm being held on charges of treason, on charges of terrorism. As a matter of fact, I was only accused of being one of those who masterminded the killing of soldiers and policemen in Oyibo during the NSAS protest. So it was very, very, very absurd. And the police people brought out the statement form for me to write. And I told them that I'm not going to write anything. You kidnapped me. My people do not know where I am. Members of my ESCO do not know where I am. You have me incommunicado in your office. The world does not know where I am. And you're expecting me to put pen to paper to sign certain documents and all that. The crux of the matter is that what I deduced from the time I spent there was that every action that was being taken was being dictated from above. So we can say it was all orders from the federal government to ensure that I was incarcerated, not just incarcerated, that people were not aware of my incarceration as long as possible so that they could take actions. I actually believe that if the uproar that my arrest caused had not been that way, I would probably have been in Abuja by now in one underground DSS cell as they try to cook up allegations against me. But
okay, so were they receiving orders from anywhere?
Yes, of course. We, as a matter of fact, I was even supposed to participate in a joint security meeting of a sort to, according to them, explain to the members, representatives of the different security agencies, the governor and the IG, and something along that line and all that. But it was overtaken by events when the authorities began to see the backlash online and the fact that one protests were now being planned for the very next day. Okay. So it was.
And the reason I asked this particular question is, of course, because you said orders were coming from above and you mentioned federal government. So for the sake of being quite clear, were calls received in your presence, were orders given, and how could you tell the sources, right? I'm trying to clear up that statement. Orders came from federal government. So that's why this
Yeah, I understand you perfectly. Let me just give you an example. When we were leaving government house, when we were informed by the commissioner of police that whoever it is they were waiting for, that it was the DIG or the IG who was yet to join the this thing was not available, that I should be taken back, and later when the person was available, they're going to come. So when we're leaving, the commander in whose custody I was asked if I am permitted to make at least a phone call, because at this point in time I've not even been allowed to communicate with anybody with the household. Please leave the commissioner of police that no, that until he gets orders from the inspector general of police, that's when I'll be allowed to make a phone call. Okay. And that was at about in the evening, 6 o'clock thereabout in the evening. As a matter of fact, when the Nigerian police was putting out their statement to the press claiming that I was not arrested, I was simply called for questioning, I was still in custody of the Nigerian police. So it's unfortunate what we have found ourselves in this state. And
what is the length of time that you spend in detention?
I spent over 30 hours, because I was detained around the hours of 1:30, 2 p.m. in the afternoon of Tuesday, and I left the police premises, the state criminal SCID premises, at around almost 8 o'clock at night, while I got home at around past 10. So if you do the math, we are
following the
yes. Following this, if you do the math, we are looking at 30 hours or more. So that's more than a day.
At what point did members of NDC and others get wind of your detention? Because when they took you, nobody knew. So when did they find out? And of course,
that's a very good question, because it opens up a whole lot of other things. But I need to go back to answer that question. I need to give a little bit of a background. Now, on Tuesday, I was on Nigerian for on Tuesday morning to discuss our statement and clarify what we're calling for. And by evening of that day, the Assistant Commissioner of Police had reached out to the spokesperson of the Niger Delta Congress, who is based in Lagos, and called him in for questioning. And he informed the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Rivers State, that I am not based in Lagos. Sorry, I'm not based in Rivers State, I'm based in Lagos. But the national president is based here. And they asked for my phone number, which I obliged and approved that he give to them, which he did give to them. Now, I was expecting a phone call from the Assistant Commissioner of Police, right, to come and see the Commissioner of Police. But that call never came. Instead, another call was sent to the Lagos State Police Command to call in the spokesperson for questioning. And while all this was being done, my calls were being monitored. I was reliably informed, that my calls for the past 1 week was being monitored, was being traced, and they were basically sniffing through my contacts and looking at people who I've communicated with the most within the past 7 days, and were reaching out to them under false pretenses, claiming to be acquaintances, to be lost love flames and all that, trying to lure them out.
Did any of these persons confirm they received calls?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the state organizing secretary, John Tanner, received one of those calls. My mother actually received one of those calls from someone claiming to actually have a package for her. But unfortunately, the publicity secretary of the NDC in Rivers State, Ken, was caught up in that web, and while he was trying to ascertain who was this that was trying to deliver a package to him, he called the person to, okay, let's meet at the junction. By the time he walked out of the place, he realized that his entire estate was surrounded by armed men. They came in about 3 Sienna vehicles and some minibuses filled, and he was rough-handled, he was slapped, he was beaten, and he was hooded and thrown into the vehicle and taken away to the Octopus division. It was at that place that he was literally forced to ensure that he played along to them luring me out. So that was how everything moved until they finally got hold of me and arrested me and kept me incommunicado for that long.
All right, we have a break coming up. After that, there'll be more questions for Mr. Saatah and, of course, reactions from you. Stay with us. 3 Nigeria Info, Sam Oracle Chinedu here. Conversations with Nubari Saatah, the president of the Niger Delta Congress, who was detained by security agents and eventually released. And he has been recounting his experience over a 30-hour detention. The charges, you say, treason and terrorism.
Absurd, right?
Yeah, it does sound that way.
Well, that's what happens when people fail to take seriously actions of the political leadership. When the Cybercrime Act or bill was being deliberated and passed into law, these were some of the fears that we had, because in that act, like I was discussing with somebody today, under that act, all have sinned, and it's just for when the establishment looks okay, we need to silence this person. There's always something within that act that can be used to hold somebody down and silence someone.
So with the kinds of arrests that we have deemed legal, there usually is, of course, arresting the person, reading their rights, telling them their charge and all of that. Were you read your rights?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. When you got there, how did they read your charges to you? How did they tell you what you were charged with?
Well, they simply, the weakness, but basically, you're the ones stressing us. We have been told to get those people, get them. We have been receiving orders to get you people for how long now? You have been ones stressing us. Okay. Then the sections of the Cybercrime Act, where the police members felt had, have sinned against. According to them, the Niger Delta Congress was attempting to intimidate, to bully, to hand twist the president to reverse actions that he has taken. They could intimidate me with to see how we could step down. But the NDC is committed to taking actions that they are going to take against us. Okay,
so let's look at what the NDC did that prompted this. What prompted the NDC to plan protests against the emergency rule in River State?
Yeah, it was the removal, a suspension of two arms of government. When you sit down and you analyze this issue, it makes no sense. If you look at the speech of the president when he was suspending this thing, he castigated the state governor. Like, one of the main reasons for him that he gave for suspending two arms of government in River State was the fact that the state governor himself have prevented one full arm of government, the legislative arm, from functioning.
But the Supreme Court ruling also said that. So you could say the president was quoting.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. But now your reason for this is this person prevented one full arm, prevented River State people from benefiting from the activities, the legislative process of one full arm.
That's right.
And your response to that was to suspend two arms.
He also said that he had intervened, but the governor did not heed. Right? In that speech, apart from quoting, he said I can't remember if he used the word father, but that he tried to intervene and the governor did not heed.
That you tried to intervene and the governor did not heed does not warrant the kind of extraordinary actions that have brought us to this point. Okay. I'm not one that is keen on discussing the constitutionality or the powers of the president. The president is powerful. And that's not an argument. I don't want to discuss the letters of the law as what is contained or what is not there. That's a waste of time. That makes us not see the bigger picture of what we're talking about. When the president takes these kind of extraordinary actions, it is not, should he take it? Does he have the power to take it? What reason is he taking it? Now, you have northern Nigeria where people die every day. Thousands of people have been dying from insecurity, from terror activities. And a state of emergency was declared when Jonathan was president. The state governors were not removed. The president, being the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, the Commander of the Armed Forces, in charge of all the security agents, simply deployed these forces and gave them the power to do what needed to be done to ensure that the place was safe and secure.
And work with the governor.
Yes. Now, you have a state, River State. What is happening is simply political disagreement. The people, the masterminds, the actors claim it is for Rivers people they are all fighting for, which is an entire different ballgame altogether. And you come out and you declare a state of emergency. Nobody has died. You declare the state of emergency under the guise of critical infrastructure have been destroyed. What we have covered over the days, as the days evolved, we came to hear that even the TMP pipeline that was sabotaged that border, we found that it was not actually an act of sabotage. So you can see that even the actions of the president himself was now hinged on actions that look like, okay, these things might have been set in motion by certain people, or even the presidency might have preempted it based on information, false, inaccurate information that he might have gotten. So that is the crux of the matter. The president should be doing this kind of thing. Let's look at one thing in Rivers State that we do that is very wrong, is that we play a kind of politics that it blinds us to what we call enlightened self-interest. We don't play the kind of politics that protect the enlightened self-interest of Rivers people. And I'll give you an example. About yesterday or 2 days ago, a bill has passed second reading in the House of Assembly. National Assembly, that's going to increase the local governments in Lagos State to 56. Now, the number of local governments a state has is actually a prerequisite for derivation. So the number of local governments you have also contributes to how much you're going to get from the federation. Now, Lagos State local governments are being increased, and resources from Rivers State are going to fund it. That's an aside. Now, you have state creation bills that have passed second reading in the House of Reps. At least 2 are from the southwest. The southwest is a very homogeneous place. The southeast is the south, the Niger Delta region is a region that has over 48 ethnic nationalities. And you have a situation where you can see other regions progressing. You can see the benefits, that the things that other regions are putting in place. But here in Rivers State, we have been deprived of political leadership. And the worst part is not that we've been deprived of political leadership. The worst part is that the people who were elected to lead Rivers State are on their own coming out and writing letters and thanking the president for suspending leadership. Rivers people went to the polls in 2023 to vote their leaders. People died in Ahuda. Many people died in that election.
Mr. Saatah, you would not credit that to the people. You would say groups, because there are some who wrote and some who do not support.
No, not groups. I've seen different. I don't want to mention names from both sides of the divide. As a matter of fact, the only thing these people have not done is to offer their lives to the president. At least they fear God. We'll give them that. But they have genuflected. They have acquiesced to the president, and it's embarrassing. Now, do we look at this kind of people and believe that these kind of people are people that can actually advance the interest of Rivers State? As far as the NDC is concerned, every son of Rivers State or the Niger Delta that has written in support of it, and for whatever reason, as declared persona non grata. As far as we are concerned, people like that should not be allowed to handle any political office because they lack what it takes to lead Rivers people.
Well, it's I would say that's subjective. But before we get into what the NDC has decided to do about your detention, let's talk about technicalities. Because a lot of times, while you are, by your perception, well within your rights, you have a conversation with maybe a legal practitioner, and then they tell you, oh, because of how you did this, you have contravened that. In the call to a protest against the emergency rule, how did the NDC go about that? Because there is a difference between a call to protest and inciting, right? So we want to be sure that the NDC called for a protest against the emergency rule.
Well, it was simple. The NDC put out a statement which was signed by the... As a matter of fact, there was a general congress that was called by the NDC a day after the president made that declaration. The congress was well attended by over 600 persons from around the country and even Niger Deltans in the diaspora. And it was agreed that the NDC was going to kick against it, which the spokesperson did and put that out and simply called for. It was stated very, very clearly in that press release that what we are calling for is a peaceful protest to register our displeasure, to let the president know that this thing that you have done is not supported by the plurality of Rivers people. Because the truth is, if the president is not made aware of the fact that the actions that he has taken are unpopular, there's a big chance that it emboldens other people who are affiliated to him to further take actions that are going to harm, or that is going to harm the economic and political interest of Rivers State. And we cannot stand back and allow that happen.
Okay, and this demonstration
that is not compulsory, and you must not reach out to the security agencies. But be that as it may, maybe we would have, even if we did not. The NDC has been at the background of many of the protests, from NSAS to the NBAT governance to the hard Rivers State. And if you want to agree with me, apart from the issue that we had at Oyibo, which was actually outside our own ambit. You agree that the protest has been largely peaceful because we simply go about it. We understand that we are not here to destroy properties or cause violence, just to show that, yes, we do not like certain things. So it was out of place for the state, for the commissioner of police or for the federal government or whoever to understanding this fact that we are not afraid of now deploying this kind of devious means to, intimidate or bully us into silence.
So when your members started speaking, this is while you were detained, they protested, they, made noise as you may. How did the police officers respond to this?
I'm happy. When I came, I told you that that's a positive. It showed once again that the authorities have power, and it's one thing that came here to reiterate to the Nigerian masses, to the masses of Rivers State and the Niger Delta, that the political establishment are afraid of you, and they're afraid of you organizing, they're afraid of you collaborating, having that convergence of consciousness. And once the security agency became aware that it was public news that I had been arrested, there was panic. You could see it. It was visible. It was palpable that there was panic, because they understood that these actions that we are taking, we shouldn't have taken it, because what we have done now is capable of escalating and even leading to the violence that we were trying to prevent in the first place. That was when the Commissioner of Police now quickly ordered my release, asking that I should not even be released from Octopus, but I should be taken to state CID so that it appeared that I was not detained, but I was only called in for questioning. So, like I said, the establishment is afraid of the people, and people must understand this and have it at the back of their mind whenever they are being challenged or their policies and actions that are not in their best interest are being put forward by these people.
Okay, so this particular question is just out of personal curiosity. It's not going to help this interview in any way.
Okay.
Did they give you anything to eat in those 30 hours?
They did, but I refused, of course. Of course. I appreciate Commander Julian. He actually bought jollof rice for me, but I turned that down.
He bought it?
Yeah, he delegated someone to
go
get
and buy
it for me.
And you turned it down because?
For obvious reasons.
What are those reasons? Okay. All right, you have a couple of minutes on the clock. We'll take a few calls, and then my guest will tell me what the NDC has decided to do now that he has regained freedom. 08179230002, 08179230003. WhatsApp is 08090306416. There is a message here for you on WhatsApp. Ask the spokesperson, what has his office contributed to the development of the Niger Delta region, if not this politically motivated act of theirs? Organization in the Southwest is doing all it takes to bring development. The NDC before now done that has been geared towards the development of this region.
He probably is not aware that the reason why we have Rivers State is because of the Niger Delta Congress. He has, you see, that's the problem. When people are not aware of their history, they say things. The fact that we have Rivers State today, that we have Bayelsa State, that we have Akwa Ibom State, that we have Cross River State, was because of the NDC.
Yeah, but that's exactly why he's asking. If he's not aware,
yeah, well, he has been made aware.
It's not too much to tell him. So how did the NDC contribute to the creation of these states?
Yeah, the NDC, like I said, is not I've not mentioned it yet. The NDC is not a new organization. It was formed prior to independence by the likes of Harold Dapabiriye and other chiefs and elders of the Niger Delta region, as a political party to fight for the interest of ethnic minorities then in the eastern region.
Okay.
So they were at the forefront of pushing. They were the one that pushed, and even before independence, the British had to form what we call the Henry Willings Commission to look into the fears of minorities, because that was one of the what would I call prerequisite before independence. And one of the things that what is it called, commission recommended was the setting up of Niger Delta Development Board, which over time evolved to become Niger Delta, UMPADEC, and today now we have NDDC and all that.
Okay.
Now after that, the period leading up to the first school, the civil war and all that, Chief Harold Dapabiriye and other leaders of the NDC, Melford Okilo and others were at the forefront of pushing to ensure that the ethnic nationalities of this zone have their own sphere of influence where they can control their affairs.
So you have to put a pin on that. Let's try to take a few calls. Hello, good evening.
Mr. Oracle,
Good evening. What's your name?
Mr. Joseph is calling you from.
All right. Go ahead, Joseph.
I want to appreciate your guest video.
Thank you, my brother.
I said a whole lot of things. I want to say that you should go beyond posting on social media and coming to radio to call for protest. Nigeria needs more sensitization. A lot of people are supporting politicians and they don't even know their right. So I think he should find another alternative, going beyond radio sensitization and social media. There are a lot of people in the state that doesn't have the means to reach or to listen to radio. Reach them so that we will be aware of our rights. I want to say that the state is so peaceful in the sense that the governor is a peaceful man. If we were to be the other opposition, by now the state would have been on fire. So if you are doing anything, you should do it with caution because they are looking for who to interrogate, intimidate, and terrorize. That is my take.
All right, thank you very much. Gospel calls from Rumadara. Hello, Gospel. Good evening.
Sam, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is Ayeba Gospel.
All right, go ahead.
I also greet the guests in the studio.
I greet you.
Sam.
Yep.
I listened to your guest and all you were talking out and all that. Fantastic. Sam, I have just one question for him.
Go ahead.
Before the state of emergency, Sam, there was a demolition of the assembly complex. Sam, before the state of emergency, the governor treated court judgment with peace day. Sam, before the state of emergency, the governor declared the seat of the River State Assembly members vacant and went on to say that they were existing at his mercy. Sam, before the state of emergency, people threatened the peace of this state, how they were going to vandalize oil installations if Tim was to be impeached. And in the morning, oil installations were vandalized. Sam, where were they? Where were they? Why didn't they rise up to condemn people that were disregarding the law of Nigeria?
Okay.
Where were they, Sam? You know, when you begin to have a voice, the people, that will be the worst state of a man.
All right, Gospel. So I get the question. We have another call waiting. My guest will answer the question. Thank you very much. Pius from Yenagua, before we let the guest respond. Quickly, please.
Yeah, this is Pius from Yenagua.
Go ahead.
When the governor suspend the House of Assembly and go ahead do the governance by himself, you want people to die first before you know that trouble is in that state?
Okay, so Pius, what's your question very quickly?
That is my question.
Okay. So I'm certain that you get the idea behind the last two questions.
Yes, I do.
Before the state of emergency, we had what would be termed a political crisis. Where was the NDC when they were needed the most?
Yeah, that's why I said that we play a kind of politics in Rivers State that it is devoid of understanding of enlightened self-interest. These people that have asked these questions now, they probably are not aware. Like somebody asked, what are the NDC done? Well, it's in the public domain. You can go out and find out, and you realize that the NDC has spoken up at every point in time that we have seen that something is going wrong in Rivers State.
Okay. So let's cite the particular instances. When the assembly was demolished, they mentioned that...
Yes, we actually kicked against it, and we called for all the actors to stop escalating tensions. Because at that point in time, it was even becoming ethnic. It was becoming ethnic. It was not looking like it was going to be an inquiry versus Ijotin. And that's not something that is needed in the Niger Delta. We need something where the different nationalities are going to unite, not things that are going to further separate us. So we put out the statement, but the thing is amnesia. People don't see it. They only see things when they feel like, okay, things are against them. Many of these people asking this question, most likely they are supporters of the former governor.
No, they don't have to be.
They don't have to be, but
they don't have to be. Again,
there are ways people see things and you can make certain judgment.
It's a question of what a thing is, regardless of where it's coming
from. There's where I'm going to by saying that.
No, I'm reacting to this because even the guest I had before you, even though he had problems with what some people said, I have a problem with questioning, it's because this person is this. We can attend to the question for what it is, regardless of where it's coming from, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So they don't have to be supporters of the...
I agree with that. In addressing that, when the former governor was made minister in this country, there was uproar against it in the north by Muslims, by Northerners who felt that it was an aberration for a Christian, a Southerner, to emerge as a minister of the FCT.
That was not... Well, some of the reactions were that it was about where he was from, not really religion.
No, it was. It was also there. It was.
Okay.
I can say it on record there that the Niger Delta Congress was not enlightened self-interest, and we understand that the minister of FCT is an interest of the Niger Delta people, and as far as he's there, we are going to protect him. Okay. We understood that.
So I don't want to cut you short, but we're literally in our final minutes.
Okay. People might have the sentiment that the NDC is supporting him and all that. Well, supporters of the current government mobilized thugs, attacked the NDC.
So I will try to get this from
like I said earlier, there are a lot of taking against us and deploy different means of addressing them.
Okay.
We've been having meetings with the National Legal Advisor, and he has been giving us very, very, very good legal advice on the necessary steps to take.
All right.
And in the coming days, those steps are going to be taken, and the press are going to be informed about it. As regards the protest itself, the NDC is meeting with over 25 groups that are in the
piece of advice. Engage with them. Thank you, Mr. Saatah, for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
We have a program coming up now, and at 6, the major news. Stay with us.